Right, so in order to get the model I sent you to work in Unity, there's two things that need to happen first. You need two folders. The first folder will contain the Blender model, when you could put it anywhere. The second folder will contain the effects, and you have to make it on Unity under the project. So what you got to do, you go into project, you right-click anywhere, and you create folder. I did that, and I created one called Where, and right now it's empty. What's going to happen between these two folders? One folder is going to have the Blender model, and it's going to export FBXs onto here. Okay, so let's do that. If you open the model I've sent you, this is what you should find. You should just find, and I think it should be under pose mode. Yours is under pose mode. Pose mode is the third mode. So if you go into object mode, you'll notice that there are two objects. One is the skeleton, and one is the mesh. The skeleton has an edit mode and a pose mode, and the mesh has an edit mode, a sculpt mode, and a bunch of stuff. We're just gonna go between edit mode and object mode. The skeleton, the mesh is parented to the skeleton. Right now, I'm pressing G and I'm moving everything. In order to know that, you have to click on the mesh, and under the modifiers, you'll see that there is a new modifier called armature. It's an armature modifier, and it's targeting the mesh to an armature called armature. And yeah, I didn't change the name of it. So if you want to know the name of the armature, you click on it, and under the cube, that's the name of it. Anyways, so what you want to do is make an animation and export it into Unity. So that's easy. You first have to, oh yeah, if you want to know how the bones, under pose mode, you can select each bone and either click R or G and move around the mouse. And you can move around the vertices that are connected to the bone. To find out how vertices are connected to bones, all you got to do is see each bone has a name, and if you want to show the name on the screen, you can go to armature, and here you can click name, and you can click X-ray to see the bones through the armature. My model is black, and the bones are black, so you can't really see them. But anyways, once you make your armature and you call each bone a specific name, and then when you make your mesh, you go into vertex groups. You can make groups of vertices and assign them to vertex group names, vertex groups with a certain name. And if that name is the same as the bone, it will stick automatically. So let's say dorsal. If I select the dorsal, see the dorsal bone will affect all of these. See what is this bone called? This is called leg. I can't even read it. Back leg for L. So if I go to back leg for L, I'm sure you get the gist. Select, and there it is. That back leg is controlling all that. Anyways, so let's make an animation. In order to move, actually this is actually good to know, to move between the mesh and the bones animation, you kind of have to, you have to click on the object skeleton and go into pose mode. Anyways, so to make an animation, once you have everything connected, the um, the bones are connected to the mesh, everything is good, you go down here and you tell it how long you want the animation. Let's make it 30. You select all the bones with A. Oh, actually something weird happened here. A frame was made without me telling it to. You can split the screen in two by dragging this, and you select all the keys and you delete them. Okay, you see down here now there is no keyframes were made, so that's good. So you go to 0, and having selected all the bones, you click on I, and now a yellow line will appear, and some bones will have. There we go. All the bones have their location, rotation, and scale recorded in time. Like that back leg has its location XYZ, rotation XYZ, and scale XYZ and W, and scale XYZ. Okay, so this is the first frame. All the bones will look and be positioned this way. On the last frame, all you do is you select each bone. You go to the last frame and you rotate or yep, oh, rotate, select, rotate, select, rotate, select, rotate. Once I have it all stretched, and you can go very creative with putting mid bones, mid animation in between the two. So let's say here, we kind of want this bone to be here. So you just create a frame. The thing that creates a frame actually is this. This is set on automatic record. So anytime you move a bone in this, and when it's in this mode, anytime you move a bone and you let it go, it's going to record its position. If you don't want that to happen, just unlock it, and then that position. See, let's go here. See, I'm letting go, and there's nothing is recorded, which is good. Okay, so we have an animation. What we have to do now is go into object mode of both the armature and the mesh. We have armature and mesh. Actually, shit. We need to save this as a new Blender kitty animation. So the first Blender file was just kitty just standing and no animations, because this is what needs to happen. You go back to the first one, which is just kitty, and now you export this FBX as the mainframe kitty, no animation. Export FBX. All the selected, you have to have selected everything by pressing A, meaning the mesh and the armature. And I think the frames, if there are any, by just hovering over and clicking A. Export FBX, and let's say the path to where. So this is going to be called kitty.fbx. Now this is very important to know that it's just the main frame. Now if we go into here, we have kitty, main frame, no animation. We have to set its scale and things later. Now we go into the kitties with animation, and now we select bones, frames by clicking A. Everything is selected, and we're going to export this as, this is very important. Here we're going to call it kitty at. It has to have the same name as the main frame. At the name of animation. This is called like sprawl. Make sure you select object. Export. Okay, now we don't need Blender anymore, unless we want to tweak some animations. It's taking a little bit to import. Okay, now we want kitties to have, if I just bring kitties out in a frame, he's going to be tiny. So we don't want kitties like this. We want kitties with a scale factor of 1. So when you click on kitties, you go to the FBX and scale factor of 1 is pretty good. Apply. Now I want to see kitties next to the camera. I parent him to the camera by dragging him on him. Click on kitties, highlight the kitties, and I just want to reset its position. So now kitties is exactly on the camera. I'm just going to move him forward and from the camera and rotate him sideways. Okay, if I press play, it's just kitties standing, nothing. Now kitty sprawl 1 and call it. Oh, a good thing is to remember how many frames. Usually I call it like the name of the animation underscore 0 to 30, just so I remember. Sprawl. This is the actual string that will be called when you call the animation. Whatever you write here, like this is how you call the animation. 30. Make it loop. Apply. Now let's bring Kitty Sprawl into camera as well. Move him, rotate him, push him a little bit. Here, forward, rotate him around, shoot. There we go. And when you start, there we go. That is it. And then you can call this animation. You'll see that the main kitty, kitty FBX here, has, since you call it kitty at sprawl, it automatically knows that the main frame will now have two animations. And later on, you can call each one of these animations whenever you want. Pose lib, which is him standing, and SS. And anytime you make new animations, they'll be plopped down here, and you can call them with some coding. Anyways, enjoy.